We're back here today, still working on the gabion Walipini. We're just about finished with stacking the rocks, but there's one thing I want to go over. And it's been a pressing question since we moved here. So what exactly is a desert? And is our area classified as a desert? What's going on, everyone? I'm Brandon, and this is the Greening the Desert Project, or Greening the Semi-Arid High Mountain Desert Project. See, it doesn't sound so good as Greening the Desert Project. All right, so let's break down the basics of what a desert is. So the term desert actually covers a little bit of variety because a desert isn't just one unique thing when we're thinking of Sean Overton's place, or if we're considering Phoenix, or if we're looking at the Sahara. There actually are 4 kind of subgroups of types of deserts that we can look at and see what they're about. We'll kind of find out where we fit in all of this. And first off, we have subtropical deserts, which we can think of the Mojave Desert or the Sahara Desert. But these places are some of the most extremely hottest places on Earth, but they're also looking at very little rainfall, a few millimeters maybe in some cases. But these are little rainfall with lots of sand and lots of rocks, so they're pretty easy to identify, and they're kind of the stereotypical of what a desert is when we think of it. So there's also coastal deserts. So when we're thinking of places, I think like Atacama in Africa, these are places that sit on the coast, are very hot and dry, but they do have a little bit of fog that does roll in, but they actually see very little rainfall. And we can get the idea because coastal is coastal. Another form of desert is a cold kind of desert, which I think we're falling into somewhere along these lines here. But we can think of the Gobi Desert over Mongolia, China area. So we can consider that these are desert areas that do get little bits of snow. It's really dry snow, but it's very cold and it's just very dry and barren. But the same again with lots of rocks, lots of sand, very little vegetation. And kind of lastly, we can consider rain shadow deserts. So we can actually see that in Arizona in general, just the sides of mountains that are dry and barren. And these are the points where the rain is probably being pushed up and it's actually falling on the opposite side. So therefore it's draining essentially all of the rain that it has when it is lifting up over the mountains. And then it's cascading over the other side and it's already dropped a lot of its rain and things are just not conducive to conducting thunderstorms. So where does that put us at in terms of desert classification? Firstly, look at our general area. So we're looking at the Ash Fork, Seligman, a little bit of the Williams area, and we're seeing that our average around here is between 12 to 14 inches of rain. So that's where the cutoff of being a desert when it comes to precipitation is 10 inches. So we're getting at least a couple inches above what a desert actually is, but that's where it kind of puts us at a semi-arid high mountain desert because of our higher elevation. But we're essentially in this kind of transition zone between desert and the higher elevations or the more wetter areas. And so we'll find actually in our area a combination between, we can see the trees, so we know that we are getting a little bit of precipitation, more than what a stereotypical desert looks like. But then we see our surroundings, which is a lot of sand and a lot of gravel. And then when we're actually observing that we have a caliche layer, this very hard, almost concrete layer underneath the sand, we can consider that we're getting a whole lot more evaporation than the rain is actually able to accumulate and saturate into the soil. So looking at our property, we are battling a lot of the challenges that are faced in a desert climate, especially because we can look at our environment and see the animals and the different insects that we have, because we have scorpions, we also have tarantulas, but then we also have birds, and we have lizards. So we have this nice little combination of desert mixture, a little bit wetter, and just more of a wetter forest system. But nonetheless, we're still battling probably more on the desert side of things with the evaporation to saturation rate that we do get, and then also just working with lots of sand, lots of gravel, lots of big boulders here. And not to mention that we do have cactus around here. So am I mislabeling things here? Technically speaking, yes. But overall, I mean, we are battling more of a desert climate than a wetter environment. So I kind of like to think that this is more of a desert because we're still dealing with similar challenges and similar conditions. But we're definitely not like Sean Overton, and people should stop comparing our property to Sean or even the channels altogether, because his situation is unique, our situation is unique, and everyone's going to tackle their unique situation differently and have different conditions to combat and fight against. But overall, it's the aspect that we're all trying our part and taking on our own responsibility of trying to restore the properties that we have, the land that we own or are around. So I think it's kudos to everybody that is trying to do their own way, has their own way of doing things, and at least is moving in a positive direction. It's just also what we're battling as well is the minimal amount of rain. I mean, 12 to 14 inches isn't much compared to the East Coast or even the Midwest and a whole lot of other places. So we're still taking similar approaches like with a desert, in that we want to capture and hold and store as much of the rainwater as we can and be able to utilize it as efficiently and as effectively as possible around here. So now you know what makes up a desert, and that there are actually different types of deserts out there. And since you guys were so busy learning about what a desert is and all the different categories, you've missed out on all of the rock stacking and all the other stuff that we've actually gotten done since you've been watching. So we've got all of the rocks stacked up to the level that we need to for now. So I'm ready to start actually sifting and getting some rammed earth going. And also in the meantime, Neka has been working really hard, not only on the divider wall, so she's got the first bigger portion of the earthship here with the divider wall set up to the level that it needs to be. Then she's also on the backside, she's extended our cooling tubes out more so that I can get more back bearing done on them. And then she's also filled in some of these spots inside of the basket where the wood attaches and kind of intermingles between the gabion basket and the divider wall. So she's started filling all of those in. And then she's going to finish up the other room divider wall, get that all set up. And then she's going to start working on the middle for getting the rest of the middle pillars stacked up. So I gave a little hint in the last video at the end of a little something I was doing and driving towards. So I'm not actually ready to disclose completely what I was doing off to the side. There's still a little things in the works on that, but we actually need to take a trip to the hardware store because we're gonna need some essential pieces for some of the stuff that's coming up here. And remember, Neka's got her video series on all of the mudding that she has been doing and a little bit of detail on the mixing methods and just her style and her take on the concrete adobe mud mix. What's super nice is that the weather has cooled down a whole lot, so we're actually able to get a whole lot of stuff done during the day. But seeing as I've finished up the rocks, we're ready for the rammed earth like I had said, and this will actually be the last full layer of rammed earth, because the next layer I'm only doing halfway, so this is the last full layer of rammed earth, which is super exciting, and we're gonna be speeding up the process here. I actually still need to get our vinyl liner kind of weighed down so it doesn't get blown away like it has been, and then I need to get the rest of the water, and sadly there are tadpoles in that bottom pond, so we have to kind of figure out that maybe we'll put them in the aquarium that we have just to hold them tight at least until they start developing. But I think they've started getting legs at least, so they're not too far along. They've taken forever, it almost seems like. But I need to get that vinyl liner actually up top here and into the pit that I had dug from the previous week, because it looks like we might be getting some rain this weekend. And it seems like it's been a little over a month since we've gotten any significant amount of rain. Which will also just be good timing for the rammed earth, because I'm gonna start getting that all prepped and spread out, sifted and everything, so that hopefully the rain will soak a lot of that, and then I won't have to add as much water and we can move that much quicker on the gabion baskets. We'll give this thing another try and see if it makes things go a little bit faster. All right, we're up this morning after a long night of plastic flapping and rustling and a little bit of rain.